Welcome back to our journey to explore the mysterious ocean world, where nature always hides breathtaking surprises. In today's video, we will embark on a daring and somewhat terrifying adventure, following the brave fishermen on the high seas, as they hunt down one of the most ferocious and mysterious creatures of the ocean, the giant Moray eel. This is not a simple trip. It is a relentless confrontation between humans and animals that can grow up to more than 2 meters long. With razor-sharp teeth, hidden deep in the crevices of rocks and dangerous coral reefs. Now, come on board, set sail, and witness the catching, handling, and cooking of these sea monsters, a journey not for the faint-hearted. It was still dark when the fishermen began to load each reel of line, each iron hook, each box of fresh bait onto the deck. They didn't say much, just their eyes and their decisive nods. As if each person understood their role in this bizarre hunt. On deck, the atmosphere was strangely tense. Not because they were afraid, but because everyone knew, catching moray eels was not like hunting tuna, squid, or crabs. These eels did not appear in schools, were not attracted by light, and were not easily pulled up by sheer force. The giant moray eels often live deep under the reef, in dark cracks on the seafloor where light cannot reach. They lurk like ghosts, waiting for unlucky prey. Number approached and launched a fatal bite with incredible speed. With a length of up to more than 2 meters and a weight of nearly 30 kilograms. Moray eels are not just fish. They are real killers of the ocean. Their weapons are extremely strong jaws, sharp as a blade, combined with a round head, rippling muscles like a sea python. They attack in the dark, without warning. The fishing boat began to cut the waves out to sea, gradually moving away from the lights of the fishing port behind. The sea wind blew strongly, cold, but everyone wore thick waterproof clothes, ready to enter the battle with the deep sea. The captain, a middle-aged man of Japanese origin, who has nearly 30 years of experience in the profession of catching dangerous creatures, stood in front of a seabed locating map, pointing to a point nearly 40 nautical miles from shore. There is an ancient reef in that area. There may be a large eel nest, he said firmly, and everyone began to prepare the special handline system. Distinct. Unlike nets, handline fishing for moray eels is an art that requires patience, delicacy and experience. Fishing lines over 50 meters long are slowly lowered to the seabed, with each hook baited with herring or fresh squid, moray eels' favorite dishes. On each section of the line is an additional piece of thin but sturdy steel, which resists the eel's bite, because if they are careless, they can bite the line and disappear in an instant. As the sun rises, they move on to the on-site preparation stage. The moray eels are tied tightly and placed on a stainless steel processing table. The chef, who is also an experienced knife maker, begins his work with extremely decisive movements. A long, thin, super sharp blade cuts through the eel's thick, rubbery skin, revealing the shiny, firm flesh inside. The eel butchering is not simple. The knife must be skillfully inserted between the muscle layers and the spine, avoiding rupturing the gallbladder, otherwise the entire meat will be bitter. After being butchered, each eel is washed with seawater, cut into pieces, deboned, lightly salted and then put into the freezer on the ship. Some of the eel's liver, eggs and stomach, the most expensive parts, are kept to be brought to a high-end restaurant when they dock. The characteristic fishy smell of moray eels is unlike any other fish, strong. Slightly spicy and slightly pungent, making the space on the ship always have a strange feeling. But that is the smell of success for those who work in the profession. Each eel on board is a part of profit, a part of survival in the midst of making a living far out at sea. In the afternoon, the boat continued to the deeper reef area, where giant schools of eels were recorded to live. Big waves began to rise. The wind changed. However, everyone persisted in standing by the fishing rod, eyes fixed on the water, as if blinking would mean missing a spectacular bite. And then, as expected, a fishing line suddenly tightened so much that the reel snapped. The line shook violently, then slackened, then tightened again like a giant writhing snake. This time, they knew they were facing a real monster. It took 3 strong men, a lever and an auxiliary hook to pull the eel from the water, a giant Moray weighing nearly 40 kilograms. With jagged teeth, dark green skin like dragon scales, and a head scarred from ancient battles for survival. The sight left everyone stunned, not with fear, but overwhelmed by the fierce beauty of this creature. It was pulled up, clamped, and immediately put into a special storage compartment, a place reserved for the biggest trophies of the trip. Its most valuable parts such as liver, cartilage, and stomach would then be canned, frozen and sent to Japanese, Korean, and even European chefs, who were willing to pay hundreds of dollars for a few slices of original moray eel sashimi. And the hunt continued, like a wordless dance between man and sea, between hunter and prey. Each pull of the line is a gamble of life and death. Where just a little carelessness can cost the entire boat injury, loss, or a whole day of work. But in return, these fishermen get to witness the strange beauty of the ocean, a place where no one can predict what will happen next. The sky darkens faster than anyone expected. The sky turns dark purple, blending with the deep blue of the sea, creating a haunting and sacred scene. The deck lights are turned on. Casting long beams of light down onto the pitch-black sea. The wind begins to blow harder. The waves crash against the ship's side as if reminding everyone that nature can always turn its back on them at any time. However, on the faces of the fishermen, there is not a trace of hesitation. Their calloused, cracked hands from the sea salt still regularly check the fishing lines, tighten the iron hooks, and meticulously change the fresh bait. They knew that nightfall was when the moray eels were at their most ferocious. That was when they left their burrows to hunt, and it was also when they were most likely to be hooked. But because of that, facing them was more dangerous than ever. Someone had his forearm bitten off just because he couldn't dodge the sudden attack of a giant eel winding up. The alarm rang again, another line was hooked. The group immediately took action. One held the reel, another checked the tension, the third prepared the hook and clamp. This time, the eel that took the bait seemed to have unusual strength. It didn't pull the line straight down like the others, but shook, twisted, and thrashed as if trying to destroy the entire fishing system. The reel was tight, making grinding sounds. The fishermen had to switch to an auxiliary hand and pull it with their own strength. In the whistling wind, each step gripping the slippery deck. They pulled until the monster finally raised its head to the surface. A surprised gasp rang out. Under the flickering light, an unusual Moray appeared, its body covered in shimmering gray scales. Nearly 2.5 meters long. But the most special thing was that its upper jaw was broken, revealing a strange skull. This was an old eel. It could have lived for decades in the sea. Fought sharks, giant octopuses, and still survived. A true warrior. It did not struggle, just stared with eyes like two flames in the dark night. No one said anything. Perhaps it was the silence that made the moment even more terrifying. After nearly an hour of casting, the sea returned to a strangely calm state. The fishermen sat silently next to the fishing lines, their hands always resting loosely on the reel, feeling every little vibration from the deep. And then, a dry, crack sound rang out, a line suddenly tightened. Without anyone telling anyone, 4 people immediately gathered together. Starting the most intense pulling of the line of the day. The line seemed to be held tightly to the seabed. It did not move, did not vibrate, as if it had been caught on a rock. But those with experience would realize that it was a sign of a giant Moray trying to retreat deeper into its nest. They pulled gently, testing and creating a feeling of looseness in the rope so that the eel would think it could escape, and at that moment, it suddenly resisted, jerking the rope up as if to pull its whole body into the water. A deep tail flick made the rope bounce up, and from the bottom of the sea, a dark, wriggling body gradually emerged under the headlights. It was a moray eel more than 2 meters long, with a head as big as an adult's thigh, eyes glowing brightly in the darkness. It struggled violently, biting the edge of the boat, spitting water, baring its teeth, creating a scene that made anyone who saw it shudder.